For every NBA star who grinded their way to greatness, there's a player who seemed like they just stopped trying. From being drafted high to never living up to expectations, here are the NBA players who refused to get better, starting with Andrea Bargnani, who was supposed to be a game changer. In 2006, he became the first European player in NBA history to be selected with the #1 overall pick. At the time, the expectations were sky high and not without reason. Bargnani was a true 7-footer, but moved like a wing. He had a smooth, fluid stride, ran the floor with ease, and had a surprisingly quick first step for his size. At his peak, he was described as one of the most complete offensive 7-footers outside the NBA. A true matchup nightmare in the making. Many saw him as the player most resembling a young Dirk Nowitzki, a big man with guard-like skills, elite shooting mechanics, and the agility to blow past traditional bigs. His upside seemed unlimited. Toronto thought they were going to get that player, but he never truly arrived. Instead, Bargnani's game stayed stuck in neutral.
Why not continue to try to get to the bucket?
Bargnani loses it. DeRozan saves it. Andrea deep three. Andrea, you're right, just doesn't seem like...
I think it's been very difficult for him.
He avoided contact in the paint, didn't rebound, and offered almost nothing defensively. And while his jumper was supposed to be elite, it was inconsistent. Never enough to carry his lack of presence anywhere else on the court.
Offensive rebound, Chandler to Bargnani. What is he doing?
He wasn't lazy in the traditional sense. He showed up, played his minutes, but never developed. He's basically everything you fear about a touted European prospect. His shooting didn't carry over particularly well, he was extremely soft, couldn't play defense, and had absolutely no passion for the game. For 7 years, Toronto waited for the leap, but the year Bargnani would finally put it all together never came. He eventually got traded to the Knicks in 2013 for a fresh start on a bigger stage. But instead of breaking through, things got worse. And by the time he left the NBA in 2016, most fans had already forgotten he was ever a #1 pick. Some say the reason Andrea never got better was a lack of passion for the game. I think he could have been a reasonable player if he cared and worked a bit on his conditioning, but it seemed like never a priority for him. I don't think he had necessarily a bad BBIQ, he just checked out mentally. Others believe the Raptors never made a consistent effort of establishing him post-game. Either way, he left the league without ever unlocking the player he could have been. And despite having the time, playing minutes, and the green light, he refused to grow as a player. After leaving the NBA in 2016, Bargnani signed a 2-year deal with Saski Baskonia in Spain, but injuries and inconsistent play continued to affect his performance. He played just 15 games before parting ways with the team and quietly faded out of professional basketball altogether. Unlike Andrea, Bol Bol didn't have the same opportunities. And when he did, he showed why coaches never trusted him. When Bol Bol entered the league in 2019, he looked like a video game glitch in human form. 7'2", nearly 8-foot wingspan, had a shooting touch from deep, and mobility like a guard. His raw talent was unreal. Some scouts even said he had more offensive tools than Victor Wembanyama.
I think Bol Bol has the same abilities as Victor Wembanyama.
In college, he averaged 21 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 2.7 blocks in just 9 games at Oregon, shooting over 52% from 3. That should have made him a lottery lock, but instead of going top 10, he slipped to the 44th pick. Because as good as Bol looked, teams had already started seeing the cracks. As one fan put it, he was the 44th pick for a reason, dog. Nobody had high expectations for him, only casuals did. Teams knew he would be a liability on offense and defense. And the concerns weren't just about his skills, they were also about his attitude. I think that his worst enemy is his bad attitude. It means his teammates and coaches had a hard time getting along with him because he's not a good listener. It means that he is an individual player, not a team player. An unstoppable talent without understanding the importance of teamwork, chemistry, and unity is considered a liability to any organization. However, the worst part was that Bol seemed to have figured it out during his time in Orlando. In the 2022-23 season, he finally got real minutes with 33 starts, averaging 9.1 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 1.2 blocks in 70 games that season. Orlando used him in multiple roles, and he even drew early buzz as a most improved player candidate. But by the second half of the season, his minutes vanished. Bol's defense didn't improve, the shot selection got worse, and once again, coaches lost trust. Then came Phoenix, another chance, another reset. However, by early 2023, Bol's minutes dropped sharply, from averaging 26 minutes per game in November to just 10.9 by February. Coaches grew frustrated with his lack of defensive awareness, poor decision-making on offense, and struggles in team schemes. Despite his flashy highlights, he was often out of position defensively, late on rotations, and didn't communicate well on the floor. Opposing teams began targeting him in switches, exposing how much of a liability he could be. Bol became the odd man out, reduced to garbage time and DNPs. Unlike Bol Bol, Jonathan Kuminga has had more structure, mentorship, and playoff reps, yet still looks unsure if he belongs. Which is crazy because he was drafted into the perfect situation. The Warriors had just come off a losing season, and instead of rebuilding, Golden State used its lottery picks to reload. Kuminga was one of those picks, 7th overall in 2021. A long, explosive wing with star upside and all the physical tools you could ask for.
With the 7th pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Jonathan Kuminga from
He could run the floor like a guard, jump out of the gym, and attack the rim with force. And the best part was that Golden State didn't need him to be great right away, because they created a development plan for Jonathan, and with that he had time, structure, and the best shooting backcourt in NBA history showing him the ropes, and even a veteran team competing for championships. All he had to do was grow. But 4 years in, it still feels like Jonathan Kuminga is stuck somewhere between promising and unreliable. In his first 2 seasons, he averaged just 16.9 and 20.8 minutes per game, often benched during crucial stretches due to defensive lapses and lack of focus off the ball. His breakout 2023-24 saw him play in 74 regular season games, averaging 16.1 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 2.2 assists, while shooting 52.9% from the field. But still, he was criticized for poor shot selection and not fully integrating into Golden State's pass-heavy, off-ball-heavy system. Some people blame the Warriors system, saying it isn't built for young players like Kuminga. Kerr needs to have better rotations. I see him going back to old, unathletic lineups earlier that hurt us, while others think it's Kuminga himself. Kuminga doesn't want to consistently rebound or play defense. That's a bad fit for any team that wants to win. Ironically, people say the same about Mo Bamba, only his case is even worse, because everyone thought he would be different. And when the Orlando Magic selected him 6th overall, it made sense.
With the 6th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic select Mohamed Bamba.
He was long, athletic, a polished jumper, and a 3/4 sprint time faster than Russell Westbrook, Dwayne Wade, James Harden, Kemba Walker, or John Wall posted at the Combine. When he came around, Orlando was desperate for upside, looking for their next Dwight, and in theory, Mo Bamba fit the bill. But the thing about the league is it doesn't care about theory, just action. And now in 2025, when the league is desperate for switchy rim protectors who can knock down threes, no team wanted anything to do with Mo Bamba. In year 1, Bamba barely saw the floor, playing for just 16.3 minutes in a game while backing up all-star Nikola Vucevic. He flashed here and there, the occasional block, a corner 3, but it always felt like he was coasting.
Still doesn't know when he could return.
Gravity was coming on quick. Had to get that one out of his hand. Able to finish it. Reeves finds Mo Bamba. He can shoot it. Oh, man.
The motor wasn't there, and neither was the aggression. Soon after, Mo Bamba was diagnosed with a stress fracture that ended his rookie season early. As he recovered on the sidelines, Orlando quietly found its rhythm without him, raising questions about whether they truly ever needed him in the first place. And even when they cleared minutes by trading Vucevic in 2021 to the Bulls, Bamba didn't seize the spotlight. Eventually, Orlando moved on, and the Lakers gave him a shot, but again, he barely played. He later joined the Sixers, but it was more of the same. Stuck on the bench, hardly making a mark. Now at 27, no team trusts him to anchor a defense, and no coach trusts his motor. Unlike Mo Bamba, who some people had doubts about from the start, D'Angelo Russell was never a question mark. But with him, the problem wasn't talent, it was everything else. At Ohio State, D'Lo was nothing short of a phenomenon. Appearing in 35 games with 34 starts, he averaged 19.3 points, 5.7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1.6 steals in 33.9 minutes. He was a consensus first-team All-American, Jerry West Award winner, Big Ten Rookie of the Year, Big Ten All-Freshman selection, and first-team All-Big Ten. Along the way, he tallied 4 double-doubles and even a triple-double, a rare feat for a college freshman. The Lakers saw their next superstar in him, making him the number 2 overall pick in the 2015 NBA draft. Early on, flashes of his game were clear. Smoothie left jumper, flashy passes, and unwavering confidence. But there was always something off. D'Lo is a player that doesn't realize that playing ball at the highest level will still have more levels. He has seen it from his own teammates, but can't meet them at that level. He has peaked, and it's obvious. Then came the infamous locker room scandal with Nick Young. D'Lo had secretly recorded Young admitting to cheating on then-fiancé Iggy Azalea, and then leaked the video online, breaking the unspoken code of locker room trust. And the fallout was immediate. His teammates iced him out, veterans reportedly refused to sit next to him, and just like that, he was labeled immature and untrustworthy. One of the team members even said there were trust issues already, now there's no trust. And that marked the beginning of his reputation problems, and for many, the moment his career started to veer off course. So just after 2 years, the Lakers cut ties with him, and Magic Johnson sent him packing with a cold parting shot. I needed a leader. Brooklyn gave him a second chance, and for a while he delivered. He made the All-Star team in 2019, led the Nets to the playoffs, and looked like he'd turned the corner. But even at his peak, doubts remained about his performance. Eventually Golden State took a swing, then Minnesota, then LA again. However, each stop brought the same story. Decent stats, big moments, but never quite enough. As one fan simply put it, D'Lo is the perfect example of talent not meaning a damn thing without consistency. But while D'Lo's career left fans disappointed, Jalen Green's might just redefine what a true letdown looks like. On paper, Jalen checked nearly every box. Great height for a shooting guard at 6'5", elite athleticism, a smooth shooting stroke that translated to 37% from 3 on high volume, 83% from the line, and a 61% true shooting percentage. He even showed flashes of defensive upside with the G League Ignite, becoming one of the high usage scorers that young. Although he had red flags like a thin frame, short wingspan, and a 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, nothing alarming enough to drop him out of the top tier. To many, he looked like a potential two-way star in the making, but none of it translated the way everyone hoped. Jalen could get to the rim, pull up from 3, and create a shot against anyone, but that was it. He leaned too much on raw athleticism, and it showed. He still struggles to read the floor and hasn't developed the shiftiness or craft to create clean looks. On top of that, his decision-making is erratic and his handle's loose. He's averaged 21 points per game, but it rarely feels like it's helping his team win.
That's the issue. He doesn't really know what a good shot is. This mother is one of the most athletic people in the league. You should be able to get to your spot and rise up and just shoot over somebody.
His biggest weaknesses are he's a straight line athlete, but zero shiftiness, And now that the league has caught up to his athleticism, he has nowhere to go. Unlike Jalen, who some still believe has a shot at figuring things out, there's almost no one who expects Michael Porter Jr. to ever take another step forward. At 6'10" with elite length and a textbook jumper, he should be a walking mismatch. He has all the physical tools from size, elevation, and a silky shooting stroke, but for every night he catches fire, there are 2 more where he completely vanishes. He rarely impacts the game beyond scoring, struggles with decision making, and offers little in the way of playmaking or consistent defense. As one fan put it, he's one of the best shot blocking wings, if not the best, in the NBA. Every time I watch him though, he is really pretty bad offensively. Not a good shooter, and doesn't even finish particularly well. And it's even more disappointing when you remember he was once projected to be the top pick in the 2018 draft, before back injuries dropped him down the board. Denver took the risk, and for a moment it looked like it might pay off. His 3rd season had 19.9 points per game on nearly elite shooting splits. MPJ became a legitimate 3rd scoring option behind Jokic and Murray. The future looked bright, but that future never came. Instead, MPJ became what he is now, a one-dimensional scorer with little else to offer. Despite his silky jumper, he rarely impacts the game outside of putting the ball in the hoop. His defense is a constant liability, and Denver's defensive rating consistently dips when he's on the floor.
On defense, what do we think about Michael Porter Jr. going forward?
You mean Michael, the possession ends here? Porter Jr. He's got to get his head out of his ass. Once he gets the ball, you know that thing's gonna.
Yeah, he gonna launch that.
You know it.
It's not the fact that he wasn't passing. I think it's really defense. When you look at Michael Porter Jr., you're like, what does he do well?
He doesn't read the floor well, often killing ball movement by forcing tough shots or missing open teammates entirely. He doesn't create for others, and he doesn't rebound like someone with his physical tools should. And worst of all, he doesn't seem interested in learning. Some people believe the cause of all MPJ's problems is his injuries.
Really good defender in high school, but he could have been even a better defender at this level. If his back wasn't so stiff and he having screws and things messed up in his back.
While others push back hard against the narrative that the #1 issue with MPJ isn't physical, it's his personality. You don't pass on MPJ at 11, 12, 13 if it was just an injury issue. The main problem with Michael Porter Jr. is his personality and playstyle. Teams are afraid he will be the next Andrew Wiggins, a high-usage player who doesn't play defense. With MPJ, the red flags were obvious. That's why he fell to 14, but with Deandre Ayton, the warning signs were buried deep, which made going #1 feel like a no-brainer until it wasn't. In 2018, the Suns believed they were drafting the next dominant two-way big. Ayton was 7 foot tall with a 7'5" wingspan, elite athleticism, a smooth jumper, and soft touch around the rim. At Arizona, he averaged 20.1 points, 11.6 rebounds, and nearly 2 blocks per game on 61% shooting. On paper, he looked like the total package, a modern big with old-school dominance. But it didn't take long for cracks to show. He rarely demanded the ball, his motor ran cold, he got outworked by smaller opponents, gave up on box outs, and often drifted through defensive possessions. Dude's been in the league for 6 seasons, 7 foot tall, 7'5" wing, posterized about 4 people. No drive, no force, no heart. All vibes, just wants to live the lifestyle. Even when the Suns made the finals in 2021, Ayton wasn't the engine behind it. He played his role, but he wasn't the reason why. And the problem was not his talent. He seemed to lack the innate competitiveness and drive that it takes to be a superstar in the NBA. Off the court, there were signs too. Poor body language, visible frustration, and quotes from his teammates about his lack of intensity. Eventually, Phoenix gave up and shipped him to Portland. And even there, Ayton still looked like the same player. He was putting up decent stats, showing off his physical gifts, but making little real impact. And much like Ayton, Ben Simmons was also an elite talent wasted by his mindset. Ben Simmons is arguably the greatest underachiever in NBA history, especially for a former #1 overall pick who was once compared to Magic Johnson and LeBron James. He was so good that no one ever thought he'd be anything but a legend. Coming out of LSU, Simmons was seen as a generational prospect. A 6'10" point forward with elite court vision, freakish agility, and defensive versatility. He was the ultimate modern basketball prototype, and the long list of awards he racked up early on backed it all up. He could guard every position, push the pace in transition, and pass like a wizard. And he was one of those few players who were expected to become a superstar. And in his first few years, it looked like he would. Simmons won Rookie of the Year, made 3 straight All-Star appearances, earned 2 All-Defensive First Team honors, and helped turn the Sixers into a legitimate playoff threat. On offense, he pushed the tempo and created easy looks in transition, often acting as a 6'10" point guard who could collapse defenses and find open shooters. On defense, he was a nightmare, guarding all 5 positions, hounding opposing stars, and anchoring Philly's switch-heavy schemes alongside Embiid. His ability to disrupt passing lanes and turn defense into offense was a huge part of what made the Sixers so dangerous during those years. But there was one massive problem: he refused to shoot. The hesitation had always lingered beneath the surface until Game 7 against the Atlanta Hawks in 2021, when it finally exploded into full view. With under 4 minutes left and the Sixers trailing by 2, Simmons blew past Danilo Gallinari and found himself with a wide open dunk. But instead of going up strong, he passed it off. In that instant, everything came crashing down. The hesitation and fear were all out in the open, and the entire world saw it. From that moment on, he was never the same. He didn't take a shot in the fourth quarter of 5 out of 7 games in the series, and averaged just under 10 points. And most damning of all, he shot 34% from the free throw line, the worst mark in NBA postseason history for a player with over 70 attempts. After that series, Simmons was heavily criticized by fans, calling him the most frustrating star to watch, and his confidence collapsed. Following this, he stopped playing, demanded a trade, and refused to show up to training camp. Then he put all the blame on mental health struggles, which the Sixers weren't permitted to evaluate. Before anyone knew what had happened, Simmons had racked up over $19 million in fines for refusing to play. He eventually got traded to Brooklyn, but even there he didn't play for months. And when he played, he was a shell of himself. This was nothing close to the all-NBA version fans once saw. And at the end of the 2024 season, Simmons had played just 57 out of a possible 246 regular season games since that infamous Game 7. And in all that time, he still hasn't taken the shot, figuratively or literally. That could have saved his career.